let's just do this, okay? What's up, guys? I'm back with another episode of the V-Less podcast, and if you cannot tell by my energy, I'm tired. I'm tired, I'm drained, I feel like I'm physically and emotionally drained. I'm not exactly sure what one factor I can contribute this to, but I believe that there's a multitude of things that are happening with me. It's Halloween, so the energy is a little weird and different. I've been dealing with a lot of things, like a lot of stress, mental and emotional stress, if you will. I really do believe that my ADHD has been triggered. Now, for those of you who are like, gurus and whatnot, no, I don't have a medical diagnosis of adult ADHD, but according to Google, you can self-diagnose, because if you have these symptoms, then you probably have ADHD. And I think I had ADHD for a while now. And then at certain times of the year, or maybe just for whatever reason, it feels exasperated, like my symptoms feel a little bit more heightened. And I really don't know what to associate that with just yet. But I was having a conversation today with a colleague, and one thing that was a bit comforting to know was that I'm not the only one who is having these symptoms. And I'm not the only one who is feeling this sentiment or pressure when it comes to work, and then this feeling of like overwhelmed but underwhelmed at the same time. It's like I'm overwhelmed, but I'm also just like, I don't care about this stuff. That's how I've been kind of feeling lately. And some of the behavioral symptoms are like hyperactivity, fidgeting, impulsivity, irritability, risk-taking behaviors, or lack of restraint. In terms of cognitive experiences, it could be difficulty focusing, forgetfulness, lack of concentration, problem paying attention, racing thoughts or short attention span, mood, anxiety, boredom, excitement, or mood swings. And also common would be depression, learning disability, or sleep deprivation. And when I say I probably have about 90% of these symptoms on this list, and I've been experiencing them heavy over the past maybe month or so, I think it's time for me to do something about it. Now, do I want to go get on drugs? No, not like prescriptions, because I don't have time for that, okay? I don't. But like my colleague today was talking to me about how he takes Adderall. I don't want to take Adderall. I don't want to take anything prescribed. I would like to continue my spiritual practices that I feel sometimes help me when I am having or dealing with high emotions. But I do think that I may need to take some supplements of some sort. So maybe some adaptogenic supplements, or like mushrooms or things like that can help with like cognitive or disorders, or even help with focus. I feel like I need that, because on top of like the not being able to focus and not being able to like complete things, or maybe like I complete something and it's like half-assed, then I get in my feelings about it, and I'm like beating myself up, because I'm like, I know I can produce better quality work, or I can do better, or like not be so scatterbrained. And so then it takes a toll on me emotionally. And then it's the insomnia, man. Oh my God. The past few weeks, actually, I've had at least 2 or 3 nights where I have not been able to fall asleep. Or I'll fall asleep at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. Or better yet, I'll fall asleep at like an early time and wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. and then not be able to go back to sleep until like maybe 6, or when it's too late. And so that's been happening to me lately. And I've been trying to, I always try to take inventory of everything spiritually, like what's going on in my life, emotionally, what's going on, like am I getting my needs met? And sometimes it's a mix of those things. Sometimes it's like, okay, I know I need to slow down in this area, or I can pinpoint one thing that may be causing me to have this lapse in, control over my emotions, or this, feeling of overwhelm. And whenever I can try and pinpoint what that thing is, then I'll try to like pray about it, journal about it, write about it, meditate, do things that are going to actually help bring me out of that, because I have been depressed before. I've experienced depression, deep depression, and it doesn't feel good. I don't like being depressed. I don't like feeling depressed. And it's one of those things that when you are fighting that feeling of depression, if it's really deep, a lot of times nothing can help in the moment. So I've learned how to kind of give in to some of my feelings, and especially those feelings of depression, and let myself feel those things, because I realize too that resisting those feelings sometimes can exasperate them a bit. So I let myself emote. I let myself cry, be in a bad mood, whatever I feel in the moment I'm feeling, I let myself feel those things. But sometimes it does feel like, man, I'll do extra because I don't want to get to that deep level of depression anymore. So I'll try to do things to keep myself from falling so far down into depression. And one of the things about depression that I struggle with is I sometimes get that feeling of guilt. Like, why are you even depressed, girl? Ain't nothing wrong with your life. You're blessed, you're favored, you're this, you're that. Do you know the way people see you, and da 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 da? And it's like, I tell myself, what do you have to complain about? Or what do you have to feel bad about? Or what is it that you're even feeling sad or low or depressed about? And it may not be the right thing, but that's what typically keeps me from falling into a deep depression, because I really think about how blessed I am and what I have that other people don't, even though it may not be a lot. To some people it is more than what they have. And so I know that, and I say that may not be the healthiest way to cope, because again, I try to find that balance of allowing myself to feel whatever feelings I'm feeling. I just don't ever want to get stuck there. If you're a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever, tell me if I'm on to something. I don't know. This is just the way my brain thinks. But I feel like my depression is triggered by my ADHD. Whenever I'm having these episodes where I can't focus, or I can't get anything done, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, and it's a brain overwhelm. It's like my mind is racing, and I'm trying to think of everything that needs to happen or everything that I need to do, and I can't focus on one thing. So I end up half-ass doing something, and then I get mad at myself for not doing it well, or half-assing it, or waiting until the last minute. Then when I get mad at myself, I have an episode and these high surges of emotions, and then I kind of start to get depressed, because it's that self-sabotage, beating yourself up, wondering why can't you do anything right, and da 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 da. It's a mind fuck, for lack of a better word. And it's funny because I've been doing a lot of spiritual study. I've been, practicing my spiritual practices a lot more, just trying to stay connected. And I came across a reading that was talking about the different levels of consciousness. And the last episode I was talking about spiritual warfare, and I realized that when you are a highly spiritual being, or when you are a person who has a call, or when you are a person who emits high vibrations, if you will, to me that sets you up. It's almost like you're more open to attacks, right, emotionally. And maybe it's because you're more sensitive to other people's energies. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that I'm just open or sensitive to other people's energies, or sensitive to spirits in general, or if it's just that I am human. I don't really know, again, what to equate it to. But anyway, I was doing some reading about these different levels of consciousness, and how you can give off certain vibes. Most people in the world, there's a scale, there's a score for each of your emotions. So there's a score, and I want to say the below 200, it goes from 0 to 750 or something like that. And if you're below 200, that's considered what the whole buzzword low vibrational, that's considered low vibrational, right? But there are, majority of the people in the world actually do operate below 200. So they're not emitting these high frequency emotions. They're emitting low frequency emotions. So when people say things like, oh, you're low vibrational, or they have a bad or good vibe, it's really, a vibe is a vibration. It's a feeling, it's energy that you're emitting, and it has gigahertz or megahertz. And so most people associate energy or vibrations with sound, but everything has a vibration. Everything is energy. Everything is. So when you are vibrating low, then you emit those lower emotions. I'm just going to name some of those emotions for you on this scale. So shame, there's guilt, there's apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, and then pride is like right below the line of 200. Right above the line of 200 is courage. So what I thought was really interesting is that there's also something that you experience when you are having those emotions or when you're emoting those things, right? So the things that you experience when you're below a 200 score is hyperactivity and inaction. Hyperactivity and inaction. So when you're struggling with, for me, when I'm struggling with this ADHD feeling or these high emotions, I'm calling them high emotions, but they're really technically low vibrating emotions. The reason why I'm experiencing that hyperactivity and that inaction is, or those feelings, is because I'm literally emoting at a low vibration. So when they say things like raise your vibration, it's important to do that, because once you raise above the 200 score, the what you experience is happiness and productivity. And then at the highest levels, you experience synchronicity and extraordinary outcomes. Everything is an emotion. Everything is a vibration. Everything is energy. That's what they mean. This is what we mean. It's not just, yes, it's spiritual. And you can reach a certain level of spiritual enlightenment, right? Where you emit at the highest levels of these emotions. And those people who were at the top of the list, like Jesus Christ and Gandhi and Mother Teresa, they were vibrating at such a high level that they reached the level of enlightenment. A lot of the emotions, again, that are like kind of like in the middle, like that neutral, you have courage, neutrality, willingness, and acceptance, and then reason. There's 3 different paradigms. There's the survival paradigm, which is the low vibrating emotions that I named earlier. Then there's the reason and integrity paradigm, which is those middle emotions. So those are the people who vibrate above a 200, but still below like 500. Like acceptance and willingness and neutrality and courage, that's when you start to vibrate yourself higher. So when people say like change your mindset, change the way you think, that's the law of attraction. You can attract better things and higher, vibrate higher. It's like emitting those emotions, that courage or hopefulness. It's like, okay, I don't feel so down and out. Oh, I feel hopeful about this. And it's literally just you switching your mind. It's literally just you being like, you know what, I'm having a bad day. It's okay to feel those feelings and have a bad day, but don't get stuck there. That's what I fight. I don't want to get stuck in those low vibrating emotions. I'm not denying myself the privilege to have those emotions because I am having a human experience, but getting stuck there is what keeps you vibrating low, and then you emote those feelings, and then you start to have those experiences that express themselves like ADHD. The third paradigm is that spiritual paradigm. So that's anybody who is emoting above a 500. Now, what I think is really interesting is that right at the 500 line is love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Don't the world need more of that, honey? When you are emitting the emotion of love, when you're feeling that love, you're vibrating at a high frequency. And people can feel that, and that's what is catchy. That's what catches on. So those high emotions, like, you ever met somebody who's like excitable and happy and joyful and they're laughing? That's why laughter is so contagious, because it's a high emotion. It's a high vibrating emotion, and that can be felt more than those lower emotions that we sometimes feel. I hope this makes sense, but anyway, if you have some time, study the levels of consciousness. I'm doing a lot more studying about them myself, but it helps me to understand kind of where I am, right? And like helps me self-diagnose. It helps me understand what I need to do to get myself out of these moments of depression, or to stop myself from slipping back into depression. I want to ultimately vibrate high, and I get told that a lot. Oh, you got good energy. That's what I love to hear. When when I have someone say, oh, you got good energy or you're good vibes, yeah, I want that. I want to be good vibes. I'm striving to be that. I am a light and I want to continue to be a light. I want to continue to let my light shine. But I also need to be able to understand and experience those human emotions, but know how to get myself out of them. So that's what I'm dealing with, y'all. I'm just being real raw and honest on here today. If you have any information about adult ADHD, maybe understand more about the symptoms, if you're a professional in the psychology world, psychiatry world, I'd love to have a chat with you if you want to be on the podcast, or you just make sure you can comment below or comment on my Anchor or wherever you're streaming this. But let me know your thoughts on this. Now, I will say I'm not a doctor, okay? I don't have a doctorate degree, but I do have a master's of science in psychology, so not clinical psychology, but I understand a little bit about the way the mind works. I just want to know if I'm right, validate me, tell me where I'm going wrong. Am I thinking about this in the right way? I'd love your feedback, and I'd also love some tips, and I'd love to know like what you do to fight your ADHD and then thus fight your depression or your burnout. For me, I think honestly I just need to win the lottery. Who doesn't? But when I win, it'll be interesting to see if I have these ADHD symptoms as often. We'll see. That's all for now, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully y'all have better energy next week. Again, it's kind of just like atmospheric, if you will. The planets have a lot to do with it too. Maybe I just need to go pray, meditate. So I'm about to go do that because I need to raise my vibrations. Love you. I hope this helps. Bye.